this is recorded right now, and so we'll send out. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, great. All right, well, we're just gonna go ahead and get started, and I first wanna thank God for allowing us to be here today, and thank Him for also allowing you guys to be here. And I know that on this kind of our final nuts and bolts session, for those of you who are considering deciding whether or not you're gonna become a CIC with us this spring, we also have some of our CIC alumni on, so welcome. And, you know, it's interesting, I know that fear gets in the way, and I'm gonna tell you about one of our gals who's actually on this webinar with us today, the fear that got in her way, and just gonna explain that to you a little bit. And but for now, let's go ahead. I am going to pass it over to Christina, and she is going to kind of take it away. Christina is our business marketing coach here at Fashion Meets Beige, and you might not see a lot of her, but a lot of the things that we do, she brings them to life. So yay for Christina.
I'm so happy to be here. This is so exciting, isn't it, everyone? You know, I know you. I know each of you just by looking in the system, and your names are popping up. I see who's getting the emails, who's going to the presentations, and truly, I'm taking notes too. So share your birthday, share something happy going on, what your children's names are. I'll get it in the system, right?
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. And so what I'm here doing with Sherry today, and just what this is all about with the CIC Image Training Academy, what we're pulling together here is all for you guys, okay? And Sherry's definitely talked about that. If everybody can see my screen now that I've shared, what I am going to dive into a little bit more, I'm a certified life coach where I have a Christian life coach certification as well as a marketing background. So I do a lot of speaking with entrepreneurs about how they need to launch their business. What is it that makes them go into the world, share their message, and be successful? Because this is an investment, you guys, and I know that's probably one of your things you're thinking. Can I make this investment back? So that's what we're going to talk about, the nuts and bolts, Sherry.
Right,
All right.
Absolutely.
So please, we'll go through this. It's a very casual conversation I want to have with Sherry, and any questions that come up in the chat screen. Does that sound good? We'll get started. All right, so I first want to just say that with the CIC, we have created a blueprint. We've already discussed what is happening during these 20 weeks, but this blueprint is what happens after you graduate. This is when you go, oh goodness, we're on, week 19, and I still don't know if I can go out there and do what it is God's calling me to do and what Sherry's taught me to do. How do I pull this all together? Hey, no worries, guys. We understand that fear. I was there myself just 3 years ago, and believe me, when this is faith-based and you take the Word of God and He tells you to go out, you do it, right?
Yeah.
And wasn't that the same for you, Sherry?
Absolutely. And you know what? I heard a phrase recently, and it's going to be like my motto, I think. And it said, and Sarah Bouchard, you're on this call, and Connie Taylor, if you're on this call, you two know what I'm talking about because we've had these conversations. And it's going to hit you right between the eyes when I say this, all right? We're still friends when I say it. All right? But I heard this phrase that says, don't major in the details. Right? And I think that's what happens to some of us, that we think we have to have everything perfect, and we don't. Especially if you are called to this, God's asking you to go do. That's right. And so, and it's a fear. It is the fear. It is the fear. So we put all that into consideration, and believe me, I've worked with more entrepreneurs where that is what gets in their way. But when we overcome and we get through, like, hey, forget the fear, let's kick them to the curb, and we're going to move forward and do what God's asking us, and then we have passion to be that image consultant. Yes, exactly.
So these are areas where we see women going in Anne, sorry, Anne's saying she can't hear, so.
Oh, you
We'll send the recording.
Ah,
Yeah, I don't know what,
I don't know.
sometimes it's people's systems.
can we write out there like, Anne, let me, I don't know if I can do that.
Okay, so, the three areas that folks typically will go into, Sherry, and what you've seen is they will, choose this to go into ministry, such as our 27 Hangers, the Women Matter initiative. That's huge right now for, I think, 2018, what we just came up with, Women Matter.
101 tutorial for multi-family sales rep.
Oh, somebody,
Sorry.
that's okay.
How do I write on this? And where's the back thing? How do I get rid of that? Okay.
Okay.
Just say, hey, we can hear you guys, even
Okay.
though you can't hear us.
One sec.
One sec, guys.
You can't hear us. We have the recording. Sorry. Okay. So back to the Women Matter initiative. We were talking about how people will go into this as ministry. They go in to actually make a living doing this as an image consultant. And number three, it's just maybe for their own education. So we're going to kind of talk through those three areas real quickly.
Okay.
First, with the ministry, with what we're doing with the Women Matter.
All right.
I've mentioned it before.
So some of you know who have been CIC alumni that we came up with the 27 Hanger program, well, about a year and a half ago. But that has become a nonprofit situation now. We're calling it the Women Matter Initiative. And so some of the women who decide to become CICs, and it may be even some of our alumni who have kind of been trying to figure out where do I fit in this. It may be that it's a nonprofit place for you. And what we're going to do with that is, so we have the 27 Hanger that's really helping women who have been sex trafficked or in the, and some who are in abuse shelters. And I know Anne, a gal who has signed up to be a CIC for this class, probably her focus is going to be women in abuse shelters. And so, it is, it's amazing. And so, so there's that. And then for those what we're going to do is that we're going to actually train you on what to do when you go there. And so that training is coming, and it's coming even for our CIC alumni. How do you work with those women? What are you going to say to those women? And it's all going to have to do with what you've learned, and we're going to take it from the fashion aspect, but really that's where you get to share your story and point them to Christ. And so that's a big deal.
Absolutely. And this other area, the Reveal Your Dignity, that's been huge as well for Fashion Escape in the past. Is that right?
It has. And you know what? We came up with that in 2014, and it honestly was one of my brainchilds that I still think that I think a revolution is about to happen with that. And you're going to hear about that from our guest speaker today, April Ortiz, when she jumps on. I hope she's on. But you're going to hear from her on that. But this is something that can really change girls' lives. And here's the thing with that is I designed that program to be able to be taken into public schools, because I know you can't take God into public schools, but we as Christ bearers can go into public schools, and they're going to see Jesus in us, even though we may not say a word about him. And April's going to share her story a little bit with you later on how they're using Reveal Your Dignity in a major way out in California. And so that's the ministry aspect.
That's right. And so if we go back to what we were talking about with the, let's see here. Okay, so back to the blueprint, there's the ministry. The second is actually making money, making this for a profit for you and your family. Sherry has done this. I have done this in my career. You can do this. We have a picture of all these beautiful ladies here with their capes.
Yeah, and the new CICs are going to get those.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the new color drapes in your tuition. So
we're going to learn all about that in the Color Academy and how those work with all the different colors. And we actually have an entire section in our 20-week session where we're going to go into and dive deep into the true math. You know, what is it you're going to be doing? I want to give you a high level of that right now. Just hang tight with me. Um, all right. So I'm kind of switching around a little bit, but how, I'm sure you're all thinking and questioning, okay, I'm going to put this investment in, I've already put the investment in. How am I going to get it out, right?
Right.
Well, this is what we go through. We're going to pretty much ask you, what is your marketing mix? You know, that's where, everybody needs to think, okay, what is it that my gifts are? But then also, what is it that I can be of service to other people? Is that going to be on one-on-one image consulting where you're going in, you're giving people their colors and maybe giving them swatches, making them feel better and beautiful about themselves? Is that speaking engagements like what you have done?
Right.
Workshops, there's so many things that we're also gifted in individually. What are you going to do to make this a business for yourself? The affiliate program, what you offer is an amazing thing where folks can actually make a income off of the products that Fashion Meets Faith puts together. And so we have ways for you already formulated. Products and offerings that you create based off of Sherry's brainstorm of Fashion Meets Faith and the entire CIC Academy. If you, of course, teach them this information, it's theirs as long as they give you the credit, right?
Well, you can teach it and not give me the credit. If you write it, you have to give me the credit, and that's just copyright rules.
And we want people to use this as a launching pad into other ideas.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. So,
Right.
yes, you don't have to stand up every time and say, oh, I learned this from Sherry Brandel. No, you can. It may give you some credibility, but you don't have to. It's your information. You've learned it. Just like when you go to college and you learn a skill or you go to a trade school, you don't usually get up and say, oh, I learned this. I went to this college. Well, sometimes you do. I know Donna does every time, but it's totally up to you, your presentation, but we'll help you.
We want you to take this, what we're giving you, and then make it your own.
Yes.
Add on to it. That's what's so beautiful.
Yes.
Then it becomes a legacy of their own,
Yes.
using information they learned from you.
Yes.
Questions that are very hard and we'll go through is, what will you charge? We'll also really test, am I committed to this? Because it's one thing to put the investment in, take the course, do the work, and then at the end of 20 weeks, is it that fear that's coming back through and freezing you in spot?
Right.
Well, we're not going to just leave them and
Right.
frozen, because we have other ways that we're going to make sure that you stay committed if that's what you're wanting, right?
Yeah. And here's the exciting thing. As a CIC alumni, one of the things that, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but we're very committed to our CIC alumni and giving them that just ongoing training. But we're even allowing them to go through this because you're our new business coach here. So they need to hear that as well. So for those of you who are on the call listening, yay. So you're going to get this continuing education right along with what Christina has to offer our new course, our new students, along with the alumni. So.
Absolutely, and along with this blueprint and that in-depth step-by-step process that is individualized for each of you, you're also going to get the monthly alumni calls where we kind of tackle what it is that you're finding out there that's happening. The retreats are an amazing time to also join others, and you basically can share ideas together and make new ones. It's a good brainstorm time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we love that. Some of the girls who are on have been, I think Sarah's been to our retreat.
And I believe that also, I think Sherry had mentioned, but that library is yours for life. So you're going to be getting all the courses, for a sign-in.
And when we do new courses, you'll get those in there, the ones that go into the CIC Academy.
Well, so just to kind of show you some faces of, and we have some on the call right now, this is a snapshot of the majority of our alumni. Now, some might be missing, maybe just because you weren't on the Facebook group.
Oh, right.
But this is where I pretty much, pulled everybody together, and what a beautiful group you have.
Aren't they so pretty?
I know. And so we want all you new people on there as well. And so that pretty much is the overall. You should feel real confident that coming into the process is not just it ends at the 20 weeks. we
Right,
mentioned that,
exactly.
but some folks that does happen, right, Sherry?
Right.
Where
Yeah.
they go to other academies or courses. This, we're gonna keep being with you.
Yeah. You know, and I think I said this last week, that there was one of our CICs who told me that she went to a $10,000 course. It was over, I think, 10,000 for her image consultant training. And after she left the course, she never heard from them again. And it's been several years, and she still hasn't heard from them. And so if you want to hear from us on a daily basis, all you do is you jump into the CIC Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group, and there's activity going on all the time in there. But I'm going to read something before we let April take the screen here. And April, can you hear us? You can hear us, right? Where they go to other academies or courses. This, we're going to keep being with you. Yeah. You know, and I think I said this last week, that there was one of our CICs who told me that she went to a $10,000 course. It was over, I think, 10,000 for her image consultant training. And after she left the course, she never heard from them again. And it's been several years, and she still hasn't heard from them. And so if you want to hear from us on a daily basis, all you do is you jump into the CIC Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group, and there's activity going on all the time in there. But I'm going to read something before we let April take the screen here. And April, can you hear us? You can hear us, right?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay, awesome. But I want to talk about fear for a minute, because Anne, and she gave me permission to share her story, but I'm going to just kind of read this out, her email. It's not too long. I'm going to probably just do bits and pieces. But she registered. She's been excited. She's been actually learning about color for 4 years. She told me she looked online and tried to find different courses. Well, then she found us. And so she joined the VIP program. And from there, she's like, every time something new came, it was like she got goosebumps. Like, oh, I'm supposed to do this. Oh, I'm supposed to do this. Well, what happened was last week, she had already paid her tuition. And last week, she emailed me and said, I need a refund. Like, and not a lot, God, okay, so God's leading me in another direction. And really, it was the devil leading her in fear, is what it was. And so we talked on the phone yesterday. And by the time I even picked up the phone with her, I called her, and I said, so where's God leading you? And she said, to stay here. I'm like, okay, well, what happened? And she said it was fear. Fear just got in the way. And so she said, no key on her. She said, I'm fixing your name there, Ann. But she said what happened was that she knew that God was nudging her in this direction, but she got so fearful that she thought she couldn't do it. And when we talked about her story, and she comes from an abusive background, and we can see where she's going to go forward in helping women in abuse shelters. And we talked through that, and it's just mind-blowing. And I said, you know what? She said, because I could never do what you do. And I said, you're not supposed to do what I do. None of you are supposed to do what I do. You're supposed to do what God has for you to do, whether it's a ministry where you don't get paid, or whether it's ministry where you do get paid, or whether it's speaking and styling. I told you last week, we have one stylist who she just joined last year. Boy, last year must have been a really successful class, because we had one gal who joined last year who does 6 to 8 styling appointments a week. She doesn't have another availability until the end of May. And so what I want to do for you now, though, is I'm going to have you hear from April Ortiz, who lives in El Centro, California, and she just joined last year, and I'm going to have her share a little bit of her story, or a lot of it, whatever you want to share, and tell them if you're doing this for ministry, if you're doing it to get paid, all of that, because it's pretty amazing what you guys are doing. So have at it.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Okay.
All right, wonderful. Well, as Sherry mentioned, my name is April Ortiz, and I'm from El Centro, just a tiny little area between Mexico, Arizona, and California. And one summer, I was actually looking for a youth conference to take my youth students to, and I stumbled upon Sherry's YouTube, like something someone had posted on YouTube. And so immediately I started like YouTube, Facebook stalking her. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. I loved it so much. And I went out and I bought her book. I ordered it like on the spot, and then I signed up to do the analysis try to get the color analysis done and swatches and the whole thing. And shortly after I started implementing all these things that I had learned, I had all these people come up to me at church and give me compliments, like, "Girl, you look so good. Like, what's going on?" And that I was actually 40 pounds over what I am right now. So I had come to a place in my life to where I was very discouraged, and I didn't feel like I was beautiful, and just all the different things that women usually deal with. And so to have those compliments given to me was just, it was really what I needed, and that I hadn't lost any weight yet. So it was really cool. It was shortly after that I signed up for her newsletter and just got all these things, her email. And there was an email where she had given us the opportunity to come and join her for this conference call, but it was a year earlier. And so I saw the email, and I was a little reluctant. I was like, this looks really cool, but I'm not going to entertain something that I know that I can't do. And my husband happened to look in my email, and he told me, "Hey, I saw the conference call. Are you going to do it?" And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna. And my husband's like, "I think you should do that." And I was like, okay, if my husband's telling me to do, I probably should. So I went ahead and made the call. And I'll be honest with you, ladies, I was incredibly apprehensive at the beginning. I wasn't sure. I always think in dollar bills, and I was just like, no, I'm totally shutting it down. But I have to be honest with you, the thing that impressed me the most about the conference call was Sherry's heart. First and foremost, she started out with prayer. So I was like, this woman is a woman of prayer. She's a woman of the word. And she was not trying to sell me on anything. She was not trying to throw out like gimmicks or anything like that. She simply told us that if this was something we felt that the Lord was already impressing on our heart to do, that then we should consider it. And she said, if God has been burning in your heart for women's ministry, and to get out there and do something, and also even encouraged us as women, if we are in a position to where we feel that we're less than, that we should really consider this. And, as soon as I got off the phone, I just began to just pray. And I was like, God, wow, I love this. I'm not trying to invest in something that someone's just trying to get money out of me, but it's something where she really felt that, God was calling women to do. And I began praying and just asking the Lord, what is it that you want me to do? And at that point, I had already been going back and forth trying to figure out what my calling was. I had left 12 years of youth ministry, and I was now helping my husband. He was youth pastoring. And so I kind of took the background and wasn't really doing a whole lot. And this opportunity came up. And so it was something that God had already been stirring in my heart. So when she said it, it just, it was like a little bit of a confirmation there, like, okay, you need to get out there and do something. And so, I went ahead and started praying about it. And I remember that that same day, my husband came up to me and he's like, "How did the conference call go?" And I was like, "Well, it was good. It was good." He's like, "Well, what did she say?" So I told him, and he's like, "Well, all right. Well, I left it at that." And my husband's like, "Well, do you want to do it?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm praying about it." And my husband's like, "I really think this is your opportunity." And I told him, "I know, but we can't afford to do this." And so, again, I left it to the Lord, was praying about it. And that week, my husband came up to me and he said, "I really feel that this is what God is calling you to do." He's like, we used to own a coffee shop. And he said, "I'm going to sell our espresso machine, one of our old ones." He's like, "And I want you to use that for the course." And I was like, oh my Lord. I was like, God, if I ever needed a confirmation that this is what I'm supposed to do, for my husband to do that was like, okay, this is what I need to be doing. And so I went ahead and I got all my money in and started the course. And ladies, the course is so good that I spent a whole night up just watching the thing. It was incredible. I mean, you think whatever you see out there that she has out there on social media and all these things, that's good. But the course is phenomenal. And so because of that, and that every lesson that Sherry gives, I just have to say, she does it so personally. It's not just some, workshop that you're taking online, but she is so personal in each one of those. It's incredible. And so I was ministered to while I was learning, and that's for real. That's serious. And so as a result of that, as Sherry mentioned, I started that last year, and in the summertime I went to retreat, and that was the Lord as well. Just providing for that was the best time that I had, getting together with other women and just like-minded. It was such a wonderful weekend. There's so much more than just learning there. And then October, I had my very first conference. As the ladies mentioned, you can use this for whatever you want, whatever the Lord's called you to do. So if you're a one-on-one person, which I'm not really a one-on-one person, I'm a big group person. And so, but I use this specifically to do conferences. And before, she mentioned about just being fearful. I was so incredibly fearful. I didn't want to do it, but people heard about what I was doing. They saw the things that I was putting out there. Just, with my youth girls, I was kind of using them. Any opportunity I had to educate someone, that's what I was doing. And so as a result from that, I was asked to do a conference, and that was in October. November, I put on my own conference. I was overwhelmed by just the, everyone that came to it. I didn't expect to get something out, so quickly. And then I started this ministry. And as a result, my husband and I left our youth pastor position of 8 years to pursue this in full-time ministry. And since January, we've been going. And it has just been the craziest thing. There are some things this year I dedicated, and just really Sherry was my encouragement on this. I just dedicated this year to just taking love offerings. That's all I do. And ladies, the body of Christ, when you are giving out something super quality and it's ministering to hearts, believe me, God is going to make sure that he takes care of you. He promises to do that. And so it's just been incredible, an incredible journey the whole way through. And I would definitely encourage anyone out there, seriously, if this is something God has already been impressing on your heart, I would encourage you to do it. I just recently had the opportunity to go speak to a foster home with some girls, and I didn't think that I was going to be able to say a whole lot to them. I don't know, they called me up. It was really interesting. This, just have to throw this out there. Fashion is really a platform to getting out there and speaking. We have, as Christian women, have so much to give the world, and God has told us to go out and be witnesses and to, let the gospel be known. And sometimes, it looks very different for other people. But for me, I went out there and I thought, well, I was up against the challenge of, okay, well, they got me for a workshop and all they wanted was for me to share fashion. And I went ahead and was preparing for that. Well, then they called me back. They said, I looked at your website, and as a result of that website, we saw your story, my testimony, and they asked if I could share. Well, that day I was able to share, and it was incredible. The minute that I began to share my story and then adding in the fashion aspect of it, I mean, everyone was paying attention, and it was just incredible, the overwhelming response that I got from that. And as a result, as you'll come to find out, as you just take that first step of faith out there, then from that, they went and they told other people, this girl can speak. And so in an arena that I would have never been able to be welcomed in before, now I've had this incredible opportunity. So, I mean, the sky's the limit on what can happen, especially if the Lord's involved in it. He is going to open doors that you never thought. And ladies, you do face yourself, and you will go as far as you do the work for. That's just honest. But I have to just kind of say about the CIC program, what I love is that Sherry doesn't just give you all the information and leave you. She actually gives you a plan for how to succeed. And I don't know, I might have missed it at the beginning, but she does tell us, okay, how to, your speaking style. She, lets you know that there's marketing tools. She gives it to you. So if you just implement everything that Sherry gives you within the training, you can succeed. You can totally succeed. And she's continually investing in us as CICs and giving us opportunity to be able to expand our ministry. So honestly, it's, again, it's a calling from God, most definitely, but just know that it's going to be amazing no matter what it is that you do.
Wow. Thank you, April. And hey, you didn't even have any training with live. Yours was all online.
Yeah.
So this year, what we're doing is we're actually doing 12 hours of this kind of training where I'm teaching as we go through the program. So isn't that going to be awesome?
Yeah.
I know. And we're allowing the CIC alumni to join us for that. So
I do want to just throw this out there because I forgot to mention. So what I actually did, there's different aspects of Fashion Meets Faith and the CIC program, but the thing that really touched my heart was a thing called Reveal Your Dignity. And the ministry that I started is called Street Dignity Life, and it's targeted towards college and career young ladies. And what I do is I encourage them, I teach them the aspects of, everything about fashion and fitness and do that kind of thing. But one of the things that I kind of coined and created was a thing called Redeem Your Closet. And I try to encourage these women to dress with dignity. And so this weekend, I'm doing my very first event. And this is an idea I threw out at Sherry a while back. I thought, my husband and I want to open a store. We want to do this. And we want to have clothing there. But we want to teach women the proper way to dress first before we let them go out there. So what we're doing this weekend is we're having a coffee night fundraiser. And women are bringing in their clothes to either donate, to buy, or to trade. And so young ladies, what we tell them, because obviously the demographic that I'm working with, this is the way they talk, but if they have any hoochie wear, which would be anything that's inappropriate, then what we're doing is we're allowing them to trade that. Because we believe that, we want to encourage it as much as we can. So young ladies are going through their closets, and they are getting all their clothing, and kind of what I tell them is if Jesus walks into your closet and if there's something that you have to kind of hide before he walks in there, then that doesn't belong there. Right. And so these young ladies, many of them that went to my conference are already calling me and emailing me and saying, hey, I got my hoochie wear and oh my God, this is a big deal because we know this is something that is prevalent within the church. And, and I like to say two things. One, it's because of a lack of education. Many women out there, their mothers never taught them how to dress. So a lot of times when we look at them and we look down on them, we don't realize that it's a matter of that they were never taught, and two, it's like, okay, well, now give me something to work with. So again, opportunities that you can use just by using the platform of fashion. So there you go.
Awesome. Oh, very nice.
All right. Isn't that great? Oh, so amazing. And here's the thing. She has decided to, she and her husband, they're doing this full time, you guys. I mean, that's what's so amazing to me, is that they're doing this full time, and they're doing it for Love Offering, which, wow. And so whatever anybody wants to pay her, that's what they pay her. And the Lord will honor you in that. I think sometimes we get stuck on, oh my goodness, how much should we charge, right? And so if that gets you stuck, then you say, okay, I'm going to do it for Love Offering. And watch. One time I remember going to a church in Texas, and they said, we're going to give you a Love Offering. And I don't usually have to go for Love Offering because I have a pretty booked schedule, right? But the Lord, I really felt like I was being really drawn to this church. Like, I really was supposed to go. So I said, okay. And I went, and do you know that when I got to the airport, they handed me the money, right? And it actually was in a check. They collected the money, which was, oh my gosh, they're collecting the money. You've already done your presentation. But then on the way to the airport, she hands me the check, and I get out, and I wanted to open it in security, like going through the security line. So I'm like, what is it, And so I got to the gate, I sat down, and I opened it up, and it was the exact amount of my regular fee, $3,000. I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh. God honors your time and your heart, most of it.
Okay.
And hi, Rachel. I see you joined us. That's exciting. And I've had a couple other people join who say they can't hear us. So we're going to have to send them the recording. But do any of you have any questions? Is there anything that you'd like to ask us? We would love to be able to answer that for you. Early bird special ends Sunday night at midnight. We're also giving an Apple Watch to anyone who wants to do this right here.
Oh, do you guys have one? If you do, then we have something for replacement. But if you don't, this is such a gift. It really is.
I do.
Okay, go ahead, ask. You can ask. Susan?
Okay, so I know there's one gal who used to work with you in Mary Kay, Sherry, and do other people incorporate a, and there's Lindsay who does Unique, I think you know I do Rodan and Fields, so are those, some of those successful, or do you recommend, do you not recommend, or is it totally up to you, or, so maybe that's a
Christina question?
yeah, Christina question.
Let me tell you this, it's interesting, I first got involved with Sherry just, this past year, we took a look at everything that was going on. And, as a business consultant and a marketing consultant, you're looking, for a way to be unique, right? And so, as even April was saying, she's using her CIC image consulting certificate as like that's her entry into the door. But then she shares her gift on top of that. Okay? And so each one of you have a unique gift. And you need to get a skill set to get yourself, adequately trained and to have that credibility really when you go out there. But then make it your own. That's what's so beautiful about it. Like for instance, I don't know, let's see. Sherry loves cats. Did you see the cat earlier a minute ago?
Mm-hmm.
I want to, offer cats to a shelter to older people, and then also offer the 27 hangers to them as well, so they can pet the cats while they have Alzheimer's. So she's using a creative way to get into the door and meet the needs of people. You see, it's her niche. It's called a marketing niche.
And let me say this, Susan. I was in Mary Kay for 7 years. I earned 3 pink Cadillacs. It was before I did this. However, I've been trained in color analysis before I ever started Fashion New Face. All right? The reason I earned 3 pink Cadillacs is because I knew something that the other consultants didn't know.
Bingo.
I knew color analysis. So I could get guests there. And this is what I did. I built a portfolio with the 6 color codes. In fact, it was when we did 12 color codes, but now we only do 6 because I broke that down. But I would have a redhead portfolio, and I would have the dark brunette portfolio, and so on. But what I did is I said, you come to the meeting, and I'm going to do color analysis. Well, everybody in the meeting loved it because their guests also got a color analysis.
Right.
And so it put me in a position of knowledge and as an expert.
Oh, I see.
So easily built my team.
Absolutely.
Because nobody else was doing what I did.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say further back to when we're looking at this, I'm like, oh, Sherry, because at first you were saying, I don't know, should we keep doing this?
Like keep doing, the
maybe,
CIC program.
right, the CIC program, or maybe I just want to do with my grandkids. It's like, Sherry, I have never seen anything more unique than what you are offering.
Right.
It is a faith-based academy that's giving you skill sets as an image consulting. She is sharing this, coloring, her speaking abilities, all these courses that will be taught.
But then you guys get to do that
Yeah.
with your, you know what I mean? Yeah. And here's another thing that I don't know if I brought this up to you or not, but I have been telling some of the gals who we've been interviewing. I had this brainstorm. I'm a crazy brainstorm woman, but we are going to be listing the CICs on the website, right? And you'll have to follow some guidelines. You'll have to have a website. You'll have to have, your CIC badge, things like that. But I would like to make it where if you are representing a direct sales company, you can we'll put that with your name, because I think that Christian women of faith, they want people they can count on.
I agree.
They want to be able to go to a faith-based person who is selling makeup or who is selling jewelry or that they can count on.
Absolutely.
And they trust Fashion New Faith, so now they can trust you. So
Can I add my last little bit on here? Because I obviously have a passion for marketing and business and Christian women that are trying to get out there and launch their businesses. You know, one other thing about that is I feel that, you know, you'll get more excited when you are adding in your passion to these skills and techniques that Sherry trains us on. You know, we will be teaching you that as well.
But they'll get more excited about their own businesses,
That's
about
what I
their
mean.
direct sales.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I always say that you're branding yourself. You know,
Yeah.
you really will be, you know what you're made of and what you're about and what God is calling you to do. And so you're just going to need to gather all that together and connect the dots, and we'll help you do that to really be.
Right. And do I understand, I guess I missed the webinar about 27 hangers, because at one point we talked about that if you sold 27 hangers, you got half of it if you were a CIC. Okay, but you're turning that more into nonprofit? No.
Any nonprofit that wants that program, we give
Okay.
that to them.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing, because it started, you might even want to go back on the Fashion Meets Faith page and watch that live presentation. It was about 3 weeks ago. But we're going to be training the CICs how to work with those women who are getting the nonprofit, who are getting the free. So we're going to find a CIC that's local to that nonprofit, and then have you go in and work with the women individually. Are you going to get paid? No, probably
Right.
not. But like my husband mentioned, most people who work with nonprofits have a lot of money. So like the board members, they're going to want to hire the CICs because they're going to see your expertise. So it's a win-win all the way around.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's our new initiative that we're doing.
So believe me, lots of people daily are buying the 27 hanger.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't beat the price.
It's our best selling.
And it benefits your business when you become an affiliate.
Yeah. One of our CICs, Karen Cunningham, actually does 27 hanger workshops. So she doesn't sell it as a product, an online product. It's one of her topics. So she goes to women, different women's workshops and does things, business women, and she has a whole presentation on the 27 hanger workshop.
Awesome. Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
awesome. Well, thanks for hanging in here with us, you guys. Is there any questions that anybody has? I don't think I've ever seen Rachel before, so I'm so excited to see her.
And the
so
colors,
in the colors, I know, her colors are amazing, so beautiful. But Jennifer, we can't see because she's at work. She's muted. I know Deb was on here. Connie was trying to get on.
She's on.
Are you on there? Yeah, she said she couldn't hear us though, so maybe she's on now. I don't know. So anyway, I'm happy to talk with you guys on the phone if you need. April, you are a rock star as usual. Blessed
Yes,
to this business. So excited, and you're already our newest class member, so that's exciting. Yay! She didn't give us gift
Thank you.
to the
Wow.
beer. Susan, you're in Las Vegas. We don't have a CIC in Las Vegas. I'm saying that's your home.
It's needed. Yeah.
And it's
Got
what?
the Gucci mama here.
It's needed. We interviewed last year too, so I think.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Yeah,
When is the retreat this year? Do you have a?
we're gonna get that date out in May. We're working with our CIC director, and she's looking at locations right now. It will
Okay.
most likely be in the fall sometime.
Okay.
But we're working on that. And so, and Sarah, always so amazing to see you, my friend. Yeah.
I just want to say you gotta not let fear get in the way, because that's been a huge battle for me, and I have an awesome story too. But you just gotta trust God and just take a leap. In my case, it was a flight of faith. I got it on an airplane, and I followed Sherry too in many, many ways. And I just
Sarah,
know.
why don't you take a minute and share your story?
Well, in a nutshell, I'm actually trained as a speech pathologist. I've got my master's in communication disorders, and I was at home with my kids thinking I was going to go back into that field. And I went back subbing, and I kind of realized in my heart that this really wasn't a passion of mine anymore. As much as I loved people of all ages, I did like helping them communicate. So what I found was this unique online class in the meantime, and was doing that while I was back at work. And prior to that, I basically had a friend, this is about a year earlier, introduced me to Sherry at a conference, and she basically had to push me in line to get my colors done. I didn't buy into it. I didn't believe in it. I didn't understand it. I had no idea. My mom had died just about, probably at that point about 10 years earlier, so I can't remember. So I had kind of gotten out of the whole shopping thing because that is the thing we used to do together. So when I saw these color swatches and just began realizing how much they worked and they helped me in terms of my own confidence and just time, and then read Sherry's book like that. And so then fast forward to these online classes, not feeling like I was supposed to be doing speech pathology anymore, at home with my kids. And then I, pursued her whatever I could find about Sherry online, pursued her. I actually went to her boot camp, which was awesome, changed my life, but I had to get on a plane in order to do it, and I had put it off long enough because she, prior to that, had offered that online course, but I knew that if I was going to do this, that I had to get on an airplane. And now that might not be your fear, but that was mine, and thanks to the Lord, I overcame that. We took our first family vacation after that. And my kids were, older. So my point is that, but God led me to it. Half the time, you think it's nuts, but I feel like also at that time there were so many really challenging things coming at me. My son had talked about, to his friends about not wanting to live, and then something happened at church, and it was just like something happened in my family. One thing after the next coming up against me, and once I made that choice to fly, I had the most beautiful experience at boot camp, and then after that, I just felt that I was supposed to go ahead and become certified. So I flew again, because at that time it wasn't online. And I went by myself, and it was just awesome. And now I'm not going to say there aren't challenges. Sherry knows me well enough. I prefer to just stay outside the perimeter. And, I just went to an event Thursday night. I'm out there speaking in front of people. There was one person that came up to me, young lady. I actually used her as a model. And I'll tell you that what she said to me was, well, actually, my person helping me, it happened to be an X body type. This young lady wanted to know how do you lose weight? And my message is about eating disorders and so on and so forth. I tell people about that. Again, because at that time it wasn't online. And I went by myself, and it was just awesome. And now I'm not going to say there aren't challenges. Sherry knows me well enough. I prefer to just stay outside the perimeter. And, I just went to an event Thursday night. I'm out there speaking in front of people. There was one person that came up to me, young lady. I actually used her as a model. And I'll tell you that what she said to me was, well, actually, my person helping me, it happened to be an X body type. This young lady wanted to know how do you lose weight? And my message is about eating disorders and so on and so forth. I tell people about that. But it just wasn't clicking for her. And then she asked me, how do you look so put together? And of course I'm going to tell them, it's the Lord, but I could tell something was the matter. So she starts telling me, I also struggled with anorexia. I also, I've done drugs. And she said, the only reason I know she said this is because my friend who was with me, she heard the same thing. I sold myself. So she says to us that she sold herself. And I'm assuming that was for sex. I have no idea. Okay, all I know is that I've gotten in communication with the women's ministry leader. My friend has been texting her. My friend's older. We're trying to figure out how to get her plugged into church. If it was for that one person, all because I think an eating disorder is no big deal compared to what everybody else has gone through. But these are all those components of what Sherry's taught me about building my confidence. I just feel like I have to tell people. And it's not fun. I don't enjoy it, the public piece. When I found out I had to be on video right now, I was like, I'm not really dressed for being on camera. But I've also learned I gotta, anyway, that's a whole story. But I thank you for listening. For that one person, it's that one person you can impact. And you could save a life. We got to pray over her. And I prayed about that lost sheep, that Jesus, goes after that one sheep. And I pray that this will change the trajectory of her life, and I'm not kidding you. I'm excited to see. I may never talk to this woman again. I'm not sure what my boundaries are with her yet. But we're going to try to get her in, and praise the Lord. I gave glory to God. So that's all I want to say.
Okay, so here's the cool thing about this.
Yeah.
Sarah wasn't slated to talk today. She has a story. And she is out there doing it. You know, goosebumps.
I mean,
See,
seriously,
Sarah,
y'all.
goosebumps.
The
And
Holy
so I'm telling you, you all have a story, and I know it's $3,000 right around there. I know that, but it has to hurt a little. If I let everybody do this, the name of Fashion Meets Faith wouldn't be right, because everybody would be doing it with no, and I don't know if they would take the class or not,
Well,
right?
that's your core, right?
That's your
It's
core. It's
fuel.
It is, and so we have to have a handle on you. We have to be able to communicate with you. And so if we offered it for free, everybody would do it. But then would they really do it, or would they just take it because it was available? So it does have to hurt a little financially. I have learned that along the way. I have invested a lot of money in a lot of these programs, and I mean, it hurts me sometimes, a lot. But in order to make it excellent, or for order for you to have an excellent ministry, in order for you to do what God has called you to do, sometimes it takes commitment, financially, emotionally, and you just have to do it and say, okay, God, you've called me. You're going to provide, just like you provided the money for April. Ooh, just like you provided the money for Ann. You saw that. And if you ask, He's going to give it to you some way if you're called to this. I believe it with all of my heart. Yeah, that's beautiful. So, thank you guys for being on here today.
Did everybody enjoy? Did we answer pretty much why you came? And okay. And certainly Sherry has the interview link on that letter that was sent out to everybody. We have recorded this, so we'll take a look and send this back out for those that can't hear us. But I mean, she's just such a joy, and I could just tell all of you beautiful women would be so welcomed with this new academy coming in. So I hope to see you there.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. God bless you, and hopefully you'll become our new students, and you'll get to meet April and Sarah on the regular. So, great. So what did Jennifer say? She said, I cannot wait to talk to my husband tonight about this again. We will email out the link, all the information, the recording, the presentation, the schedule, all of that.
And
Yes,
I
thank you,
apologize.
Jennifer. We're learning.
The late thing.
We're learning. We're getting there, but we
We got it down.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.